Next section that we're going to go into is land acquisitions. There's a lot of commonalities between land acquisitions within PARTIF and LWCF, so a lot of this will not seem too far distant from what you're used to. Obviously, anything that's purchased with LWCF funds is going to be dedicated in perpetuity for recreation. Like we said before, that needs to be for outdoor recreation. We've also said that you need to have a federal yellow book appraisal. With PARTIF, if you have a property that is over $500,000, you need 2 appraisals. LWCF is a little bit different. The National Park Service says that we only need the 1 yellow book appraisal. You don't need 2, regardless of what the cost is. So that's what our understanding is. You don't need to get 2 yellow book appraisals, just the 1. Like we've said, you would have to build the facilities within 3 years of closing out your grant contract. It's not 3 years within whenever you initially get your first acquisition contract. Let's see, and your appraisals, like I said before, you have to have them done and they have to be part of your application packet. We cannot take your tax value or statement of value similar to what we can do with PARTIF. You have to have that appraisal done at the time of application. Said before, donated value of property or discount sale is not eligible for your match. And we've said before that you need a concept plan with your applications. There's a checklist that we have to go through, and that is one of them that is on there. You'll be used to this form. It's essentially all the same as what you would normally have to submit for PARTIF. We've said before, we're seeking clarity from the National Park Service about donated property. We do understand how valuable it is to be able to use that value, that donated value as match, but as there is still some unclarity or some additional information that we're waiting from the National Park Service, what we don't want is for you to move in that direction thinking that your donated value is eligible as match, only to find out after the fact that it doesn't, and then put the local governments in a very awkward spot. So I will say that we're not the only state that is also seeking clarity on that. That is a broader push to find out how that's being handled. Let's see. I'm going to gloss through that. Is there any questions about this so far? Just a real brief overview or the kind of recovering of some of the land acquisition stuff. Legal description of the property. This becomes exceptionally important for you to have that done correctly, because it's also going to be used for reference in determining your 6F boundary. That's why the meets and bounds are helpful or needed. And like we've said, that even if the meets and bounds of the property are this, make sure that you're making accommodations for pulling property back. So like right here, we have the example of where the road is running into the property. You might want to, even though the property boundary is there, so this map may be correct, legal description of the property to be acquired, your site plan that comes in needs to denote that that is an existing right-of-way or that you're pulling it back. So even though you're acquiring this entire parcel, the only amount that is actually going to be requested for funding is taking into account those roads that are in there and so on and so forth. Make sure you're pulling it away from your roads, denoting what property elements are going to future indoor facilities and so on. Appraisals. Whereas PARTIF, when you're submitting an application, you can submit tax value as a way to figure out what your grant or what your acquisition is going to be. You can get a regular use PAP application, but all those you can kind of say, all right, we'll eventually get the appraisal after we get funded, and maybe use the tax value in the short term. We don't even recommend that with PARTIF, but to draw an even stronger contrast, if you're submitting for an LWCF land acquisition project, you must have a yellow book appraisal. That is a federal yellow book appraisal before the application can even be reviewed. We've gone and directly asked the National Park Service, will they accept a use PAP appraisal? And they have said that by statute or by their administrative rules, they are not able to accept a use path. They have directed us that it has to be a federal Yellow Book appraisal for a land acquisition project to move forward. I will tell you these take longer, there are fewer appraisers that can do them, and they cost way more money to actually get done. So make sure, if you're going to do an appraisal, get this ironed out ahead of time.